Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, everyone? What's going on, Chip? Tell you what, XRP and Ripple updates. That's what we got to talk about. There are some very specific updates coming out from XRPL and also Ripple. It's going to have some furtherance in the development of this technology, which is really critical that we talk about and also focus on the big growth that's happening on the XRPL. It's just exploding. Oh, wait, not in the US, over in Japan and South Korea. So we're going to get into that also. And we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of that political dust into the conversation.
A
So,
little bit.
Chip, yeah, if you're ready to kick this thing off.
Let's rock.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Hello, everybody. Drop where you are coming in from and who took the direct order? None other than Aussie Crypto. What's up? G'day from Australia. Great to see some recovery. Yeah, when it hit 37, I was like, what? Then it started it hit like 39 for a second, then it blew past 41 and went up again. Yeah. Listen, it doesn't even matter at this point. I don't think it matters. I don't think any of it really matters. What's going on? Steve is here. Our Aussies are here, baby. That's right. It is late night, Saturday night there. What time is it there, guys, where you're at? No, you have different time zones there. So curious what time it is where you are. Down under. Down under, maybe.
Alchemist, we may be ready, but XRP is crippled.
It sure is crippled.
Ripple.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
A lot of people are dumping Bitcoin.
How low can we go? Everything. We're going through this downwards trend again. You know, it happens. Bitcoin sitting at 56,000. Ethereum's down about $500 to 3,000. Solana's down. And where's XRP? XRP sitting at 43 cents right now.
You call that a recovery? It hit like 39, I think, for a brief moment in time.
Yeah.
Some people loaded up.
Man, and then the SHIB is down to 1587 right now. It's crazy. It was up. It had been up to like 3,000. Now it's up to 1587. Talking about 0.0000.
1020. There you go. Yeah, I always forget the formula. You gotta, it's the same time. So you go, it's 8 here, so you go 8 there, and you add 2, 9, 10.
That's it. It's 14 hours.
Formula. That's the formula. 14 hours, baby. Well, it depends where you are. Sydney, Gold Coast. If you're over on the other side, the West Coast, it's different.
Polygon, man,
it's a lot incredible. There's a lot of movement going, but it's just a cyclical thing. It happens. It happens. And so yeah, Ripple's doing some interesting things. They've got a new try it feature in the Ripple Payments API documentation. And the way this thing works is you basically get to try it before you buy it. So and this is pretty common with most software, that there's some sort of you get an opportunity to play around with it. Sometimes it's a freemium model, which means you might be able to do some transactions and then for free, and then you have to, if you really want to. The bottom line is that you want to get people using it, and if they use it, incorporate it, then they're going to be
a little bit more stoked about it.
Yeah.
See, also, you don't want to start using the technology and then have to use real currency, real funds to trial it. So if you can test it in real time without having to use funds, that's a big deal.
Yeah, so they talk about this new feature, try it. It's in the API documentation. This is really for devs. This isn't really for anybody else. I mean, if you want to play around with it, but the interactive feature is available on the Ripple Payments API Smart Liquidation Service. That's funny. I haven't seen that. Smart Liquidation Service API. Is that what used to be known as Liquidity on Demand? And the Report Service API. Reference documentation allows any reader to send simulated API requests to any endpoint and receive a response from a mock server without having to log in, provide authorization tokens, or transfer real funds. Handy tool for API. So development teams evaluating the tech can send an API request to the mock server and realistic responses, like you said, Jeff, without having to necessarily use any real tokens, and developers who are getting started in their integration journey can learn more about the API from the reference docs. Well, this is pretty much it. They just get the docs. It's a how-to. Go to the API. You know what API stands for, Jeff?
API. I have no idea what it stands for.
Application Program Interface.
That
All an
makes
API
sense.
is an API
I'll
is a set
definitely
of
use the full context. The
yeah, an
full
AP yeah, I don't think I that's from memory. I hope it's right. I mean, I have to look it up. You have to go ahead and Google it and see if I'm right. I think that's what it's called. But
let's see,
APIs,
API.
any place that I've ever, any software place that I've ever worked, always like, offer like a REST API. The whole idea of a API allows you to connect and be able to communicate. So the good thing about most APIs is they're sort of agnostic. So if you have a piece of software, typically this is in the payment space. It's a little bit different, but in the software space, let's suppose you have a particular kind of a SaaS software and you want to be able to connect to a data source of some kind. As long as they offer a connection via API, you just basically use whatever the API calls to be able to move data back and forth. And that's really all this is. And it's good, but look, it's a really well thought out. It's like, if you don't know what to do, it's like, go here, click this, then go ahead and put your token in here. You probably could follow along. There's enough going on here that you could figure out what you need to do.
Yep.
So what's next? It's now
It's a great development though. It's definitely great that they're moving in this.
Yeah, it's surprising they didn't have it before, but it doesn't matter. Whenever you get it, it's like people want to be able to do it. And here's all the docs right here that you can go through and the full docs on how to use it. And this is all the developer resource. You're a developer. This exactly tells you exactly what you need to do. And there's the developer ones right there. There's your authentication, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. So kind of cool. A good development, as you said there. What's going on here? Listening at work right there, says Metal Chew. Says loaded up a 44, then goes 37. I'm all at cash for the week. Good for you, man. Remember, it's in time. Yeah, I was kind of trolling some people on should probably pull up some of my posts on X. I hope everybody had a great 4th. If you're in the US, that's when we celebrate our Independence Day. And Jeff, part of what pissed everybody off back then wasn't the overlords, the king over there in England, but a lot of it had to do with, if you remember, one of the most famous probably demonstrations was what they called the Boston Tea Party, where when the ship came in from the UK, they dumped the tea into the sea, and they were protesting a 2% tax. So somebody puts a funny, clever thing up and said, today, for fireworks, you paid like in New York 12% on fireworks to celebrate a day where they protested 2% in taxes. So something like that. Pretty remarkable if you think about it, Jeff. How was your 4th?
Extremely remarkable. It was good. Went to a buddy's house and barbecued and swam in the pool and watched fireworks. So we had a good time.
Yeah, we had a little block party here. My neighbors went a little crazy with the fireworks. One guy goes out and gets them, and then everybody throws them money in the neighborhood so everybody can watch and not have to lose a finger, that kind of thing. But in the past, I've spent a couple $100 on fireworks, and it was over in like 6 minutes, right?
Yep.
It's going on for hours. I was like, I left the party, and it was like 1 a.m. I hear boom, boom, boom. I'm like, dude, how many fireworks did you buy? Like, honestly, how could you go for hours, 4 hours at a time, like just of nonstop fireworks? It's a remarkable thing to think about.
Yeah, it's a bit much. So Jim D was saying original colonists were loyalists. All they really wanted was representation in the House of Commons.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Taxation without representation. That was the whole sort of it was that and a lot more. That was part of it. And there's a lot of other things going on too, moving pieces. But yeah, then my neighbor has a cannon. It's a small scale cannon that he built. Holy cow! He packed that sucker with gunpowder, lit a fuse.
Oh, he built that cannon?
Yeah, he built the cannon. He's got 3 more in his garage, and they're like replicas. They're like miniature replicas of. He used to be a welder, so I'm like, how did you learn how to build cannons? He goes, well, I just Googled it. I was like, well, that's part of it, but the rest of it. He goes, well, the rest of it, I know it's woodworking. It's got like the wheels. It's got it's basically just a shorter scale of an actual. He's got a couple different ones, from different eras. And I was
Pretty
like,
cool.
the one that I put on, actually posted. That one was um, that one was the light one. Then he really packed it. Then he packed it again. He's like, "Uh-oh, something's not right." And I was like, "Okay, I'm getting back." When I hear something's not right, I walk back,
Hmm.
and then the next thing you know, I was eating a pulled pork sandwich, and I was like, and boom, it like almost crushed the sandwich. So I wasn't expecting it to go off, man. It was like just it got me. But this is what I was putting out there. I was putting stuff like this. If you're anti-gun, you must love celebrating a freedom you wouldn't have fought for.
That's right.
And then this one here, this one, Congress, it's like, if you hate guns, you would have sent a strongly worded letter instead of fighting for freedom. Happy 4th of July. There you go. Didn't AI do a remarkable job of capturing a strongly
Unbelievable.
worded letter?
Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
It's crazy what AI can do.
It's fantastic.
Kelly was saying that work opted for Friday off. They did make us ribeyes for lunch. There you go. Get ribeyes.
Well, that's
Work
very
half
nice.
today. Get ribeyes grilled to perfection.
I grilled a bone-eye. I had some friends over on the 4th who are in town, and they, I put two ribeyes. Well, the girls are vegetarians or pescatarians. They eat fish. They had fish, and we had these badass, big old bone-in ribeyes that were just amazingly grilled to perfection. God, I asked my buddy, I'm like, "Hey, how do you like your thing?" He goes, "Like, just barely cooked." I'm like, "Okay, we're on the same page." But all right. I'm like, "Pittsburgh rare?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, let's go." So yeah, that was a good thing. Of course, the potato salad and all the other good stuff that you're accustomed to having, Jeff. All that good stuff.
That's it.
Now, Elizabeth Warren tweeted something out on the 4th of July. She put this,
Mhm.
and it's like, it's the weirdest picture ever. Happy 4th. And there's her with her goofy husband. Like, "Thanks for showing up for the photo, honey." Remember, she was drinking the beer. She's like, "Well, thank you for showing up." It's like, "Well,
Oh
you're
my
in the
God. Oh, that
kitchen.
was
You're in the kitchen. Doesn't he live there? I mean, is it like showing up? Like, what?"
she was drinking a bottle of beer. That was so awkward and cringe.
She was trying to show that she's one of them. And then the way she drank it, she was like, I mean,
But
people
yeah.
don't drink beer. It's, it reminded me of John Kerry when he when he went to Ohio and he's trying to appear cool. He's like, "Where do we get one of me them hunting licenses?"
Oh yeah.
It's like, come
God.
on, man. Don't you're trying too hard. So I was like, "Hey, the dog's itching to bolt." You can practically see the getaway in the car in his eyes. "Run, boy, run." Oh my gosh. It's just such an awkward photo. All she
It's very
does,
awkward.
she instead of doing her job, all she does is get out there and just complain about this thing, and this company didn't do this, and they didn't do that, and nothing happens. She's just
Mm.
a complete nut job.
Matt says he went to a work party. And by the way, check out that kick-ass blue-ass Yeti. Look at that Mentalist. It looks pretty kick-ass right there.
Ooh, baby.
So went to a work party the other night at a nightclub. They served canapes. No idea what that is. One was a spring roll with a bit of sauce on top, and they tasted like a Big Mac. Blew my mind. What is a canap?
I
Is
don't
that
know,
like
Jeff.
is that like an appetizer? Is
I
that a
don't
word
know.
we should know?
I don't know if that's a word we
I feel
should
like it's
know.
a word we should know.
They're these little these I've seen these before. I never actually knew they had a name, but there you go.
Oh, they have names?
Yeah, I just
Is
eat
that
those.
in like a little pastry thing?
Yeah, dude, we've eaten these things like forever, and I never knew it. I never even knew it had a name. I just thought it was like an appetizer thing.
I thought it was like a tort.
Yeah, I think that's what we call it, a tort, maybe. But I mean, have you ever?
Never heard that word before.
So it's yeah, I never heard that word before in my life.
Then look at there it is everywhere.
Look at that. Yeah, that would always be something you'd go to a party or something. They'd be passing those things around. I never knew it had a name. I didn't care. Interesting, Matt. That's way to
Canap,
take us off
small
topic, by the
bites
way.
of food.
Yeah, that's
There you go. Small bites of food. You learn something new every day.
Well, I just called it the appetizer thingy, whatever that is. the appetizer thingy.
So if someone comes to you and they say they want to lose weight, can you just say, "Hey, eat canaps,
And how do you even pronounce
eat
that,
small
Jeff?
bites of food"?
It's got
I don't know how
it
to
must be French. Canas. I don't know. It's got the little accent over the E. You got to Google how to
Canapes.
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 Let's see how to.
Kelly's got it. Hors d'oeuvre. I think an hors d'oeuvre
That's what we
means
used to call them right there. Hors d'oeuvres. Yeah.
right.
Thank you.
But the hors d'oeuvres can be anything. It doesn't have to be in a little pastry show. I don't know.
It's canapes. Canapes is what it's.
Canape. Say it like Gensler.
There's the official
Canape.
pronunciation right there.
know.
Canapes. Canapes.
All right.
What we really refer to as a hors d'oeuvre. So next up on the list here,
d'oeuvre.
Ripple X coming in strong over here, but they put this up here. Yeah, there you go.
Bacon. Eat the the bacon holes. Oh, those are
In
called
other words,
donut holes.
donut holes. Brilliant marketing. So
And you
attention.
can get 1,000 of them in one
To be
sitting
honest with you, Jeff,
because they're
I
just bite
don't.
size.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like I don't mind using emojis, but I don't like it to substitute for words. And this is what they did. Attention, Japan
And South
and
Korea.
South Korea.
You have to know their flags.
Yeah. The XRPL
Start with.
Japan and Korea Fund is now open for. They should designate Korea too. Don't you think they should designate South Korea? Because you think it's open to North Korea?
It's definitely not
Kim
open to
Jong-
North
Kim
Korea.
Jong's like,
But if you just reference
Korea.
Korea, then you're just ignoring North Korea altogether. It's like it doesn't exist.
That's true. Well, and Kim Jong's over there with his Kim Jong-un. She's got a room full of developers. Code, and they're so developers XRP. So the fund will support everything from corporate partnerships, startup investments to developer grants and community growth. I mean, in Korea, as we found out from going to Australia for the phenomenal. When was that? Back in March, Jeff? That was back in March, right?
What was March?
March. We went to Australia.
Oh yeah, that was March.
It was
That was
March.
March.
Oh my gosh, it wasn't that long ago. Man, it's like so. And of course, there's a lot going on in Korea. 7 out of 10 people know what XRP is or own it. It's probably one of the most adopted sort of cities around XRP, which is incredible. They know the XRPL. You can hit anybody on the street. Of course, they put it
See if
in.
you can read that. Japanese, Korean. That's
Yeah,
Korean.
there you go.
You know, for a little while when I was in South Korea, I learned how to read in South Korea. And when I was there, I learned to read Korean. Took me somewhere between like 3 to 5 days to read the alphabet. Didn't understand what I was reading, but I was able to read it, which was really
Wow.
helpful. I learned their letters and pronunciation.
It's so
And
weird.
it was important because as you're going around, you want to be able to read street signs and pick things out. So it was really helpful.
I don't know how you learn that, man. It's crazy to be able to recognize that. So, but currently accepting funding applications from companies, developers, community members. Please fill out the application form, and you will be denied. Denied. Denied.
Well,
No,
maybe
everything will be greenlit here, Jeff. Everything will be greenlit. Meanwhile, Panos, who's not only one of the most probably I think valued community members, he's got a phenomenal project. We're going to get him on here to talk about it. The guy's put so much development time into it, and he's gotten denied 2 or 3 times. You got Dirk from X Spectre, who put out some stats this morning that I saw, who has the #1 project on the XRPL, and he can't get any assistance. And so this is where the tone deafness of Ripple is just, you got to call them out for being just asshats, really. You just have to. I love the fact that they're doing it here. It makes most sense to do it in Korea and Japan because that's where a lot of development, a lot of buzz is. But don't ignore people that are just because Panos is in Greece. Don't ignore Panos. I mean, like what Europe's ignored. I mean, you got Dirk, he's over in Europe, and they can't even get. I mean, not that a $200,000 grant would do much. It would pretty much pay for developers for about 2 weeks, but at least it's something to show support. It's just I find it to be just bizarre to me that they're sitting on all they when they started this grant program and the funding, they said they were going to give out whatever it was, 1 billion. They've only achieved 15% of it. So you said it, not us. So we're going to call you out if you're not doing what you said you would do. That's called integrity, and they're not living up to their part of the deal, and they're rolling out
Oh,
other ones, Jeff. That's what's odd.
yeah. So I'm glad at least, what we're seeing over there in Japan and South Korea with the fund, like you had mentioned, it's really critical. We're seeing development using the XRPL. It's just not in the US. There's some going on over in Australia, a little bit going on over in Europe, but Japan and Korea are leading the way. And you're starting to see the most utility, the most investment, the most development going on over there. And that's one of the things that we learned from one of the presenters at the Wave Innovation was the growth in Korea and how many people from the population wise were investing in digital asset and even invested in XRP. And I would have to say that Korea probably has one of the largest percentages per capita invested in cryptocurrencies and maybe even invested in XRP overall. So as we start seeing growth, the other thing that's interesting is technology seems to be more advanced over in that part of the world, in Japan and Korea. They just seem to be a little bit further ahead with certain things, or at least ahead with the adoption of certain technologies. And then, it takes us a little bit longer to catch up over here. So this is one area that hopefully
Yes.
we start to see a
Sure.
lot of adoption and growth expansion with digital asset and maybe even building on the XRPL. So we'll have to track and see what kind of investment is coming through the XRPL fund that's going to Japan and South Korea.
You got it, Jeff. I was just putting up Matt's catalyzed research is the one that was coming to mind there that he was talking about.
That's
Yeah,
because they have regs. They have some regulatory clarity over there.
they
There's some
certainly do.
understanding of what you can or can't do with digital asset with cryptocurrencies. It just doesn't seem to be the case here. I think we're going to start seeing some pullback over in Europe. We've already seen that a little bit. That there's some new regulation. We talked about it the other day. That's going to make it more difficult to use stablecoin. But I think this latest political outcome over in England is also going to be detrimental to any growth over in England, at least. And
We'll
I
have to
thought we
talk
were at
about that.
least starting to see some regulatory clarity in the crypto space coming out of England. Not that we'd see much development coming out of there, but I thought maybe it'd be a stepping stone. Maybe other parts of Europe are going to be a little bit more amicable. At least we've got Argentina and El Salvador down, in South America that are moving aggressively towards cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin.
Yeah, by the way, Jeff, my buddy, my good buddy, my college buddy, is in El Salvador right now, and he is super stoked. It was funny because I had said like, so how's El Salvador, and he goes, let me see here. Hang on a second. Let me see. Let me pull this up. I'm like, how is it there, right? And so this this is what he sent me. See if we can pull this up. He sent me this picture. I think it's hanging in his hotel or something. But I said, what's the general sentiment? He goes, first of all, the people are incredibly nice. They love Bukele. They're so happy that their country, that their lives have changed. Another thing he did the other day was it used to be that the farmers could not sell directly to the public. They had to go through a middleman. There's some kind of a supplier, and so he opened it up. So they had like shops now where they could just set up and sell directly to. So they didn't have to they could sell it competitively because they weren't paying the middleman anymore. So that was like a regulation that he sort of, and like I always kept saying to him, I was like, this is fantastic. I will. It's very rare in history of all of history that you get a dictator that has good intentions. And Bukele did. I mean, he locked up 85,000 of the gang members, no due process. 10,000 of them ended up going back out, but this was something that it moved through the system. It wasn't him doing it. It won't move through what their parliament or whatever their system is. I had to read about it a little bit more yesterday, but if you don't have that due process, right? Here we have due process, and you've got these nutter judges, Jeff, and does it really make a difference? You've weaponized the justice system here, and you have, because one of the other big things that the founders were really disappointed about, and the whole reason we wanted to break away, was this whole idea of due process, right? They would say you're guilty of a crime, there would be no trial, they'd throw you in jail. That's it. Throw you in the clink. You're done. That's it. You would just be. And so the whole idea of around the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and framing the argument of we wanted to, the idea was access to a speedy trial. So you got January 6th that happened 3.5 years ago. People are sitting in a jail, have still never had a trial. So that in of itself is beyond the pale, right? It's like, how do you put somebody in a jail, but you don't give them a right to defend themselves in a court of law? Just throw them in there, you're in jail. Sorry, so this is, you can see that the party who claims democracy, even though we are a constitutional republic, we got to protect democracy. Well, democracy is what you have in other countries when you have mob rule. That's what you have, but not here. And so it's a little bit disappointing. Before we get to all that, let's go and talk a little bit about this new proposal that VET created. Now, if you don't know VET, he's another valued community member, and VET is also a co-founder over their XRP.cafe. And this new proposal is called the XLS 71D. It just rolls off your tongue, Jeff. And it's called the initial owner reserve exemption. So to get around the owner reserve without compromising the logic behind it, allow new users to get started without reserve funding. So one of the big complaints that we've heard, it's had waves of going around, X, formerly known as Twitter, where people were complaining that if you're a business and you're trying to create accounts for new users, you have to fund it with 10 XRP, which doesn't sound like a big deal until you have thousands upon thousands of users. Now you have to have these reserves set up for them to use it. What this does is it allows you to, the first 2 accounts owned objects on the XRP are free. So, and Mayuka Vidari, who's one of the head devs over there, she's like, I like it. Basically, it's like expanding the 2 free trust line policy to every single object. And that's like, yeah, it's instead of making the trust line case an outlier, we make it the general approach. And if somebody wants to enforce the owner reserve on an object creation, they can explain why. So it's very cool. And then Heyo, what's up, said, well, will new users be able to make a free account, receive an NFT with no reserve, and then send that NFT to a different wallet with no reserve? And VET says, well, in this case, the first 64 NFTs are held without reserve. You still need to activate the account with 10 XRP, but with this approach, the validators can lower the base reserve, for example, to 5 XRP, keep the 2 XRP owner reserve, but still help new accounts on owner reserves by waiving them. And I can make the case for myself much better to lower reserves because account deletion fee stays the same, which is a big critique around lowering the reserves. And the whole idea you need the reserves is why? Because you're going to have spam on the XRPL, right? People get in there,
millions of accounts.
Right. It's just people open up tons of accounts. That was the whole idea. It was like you created this rule, but then in the process you created a barrier, and this is going to eliminate all that, which is really good. Really, it's a good one. I think it would definitely pass, and it makes a lot of sense, and it opens up a lot for builders. And of course, this is the GitHub sort of full explanation about that. And just I'll read this one part. He says, the reason we do this is to allow new created accounts by users in the enterprises to immediately be able to use the XRPL without the need for that initial XRP reserve to accept an NFT. It could be loyalty points, could be a stable coin, real world assets, etc. Yeah, it significantly reduces that initial pain point. And that was a lot of people complained about. They're like, well, just keep lowering it. Well, the point is you don't want hundreds, thousands of people going and creating all these accounts. It's just to be horrific. This is good. It's well thought out. It's one of the better ones that have come along to fix an age-old problem. Put a lot of thought behind this. I credit VET a lot for putting this together. It's really smart. Wrote this up, and it's great. And by the way, anybody can propose anything. You can open up a GitHub account for yourself, and you can talk about what you hope to, what you like to create. Obviously, you probably consult with the developer, and people are responding to it as well. He's answering questions on here, which is fantastic. So what do you think about this, Jeff? Is this a good thing?
I think it's definitely a good point if you want to get more adoption. If you're going to be using NFTs, if the NFT is going to be a certification of ownership of a real world good, limiting access to how you move that certificate by requiring an ownership of XRP ahead of time, I think will make it more complex. So if there's a solution there to where you can move the NFT from hand to hand, from wallet to wallet, especially you get someone that's a new adopter, say, I'm going to transfer this NFT over to you. Here's what you have to do is download this wallet, and I'm just going to send it to you. Or if they're even a more simplified way. But from that point, why would you also then require them when they open up then they have to have XRP, and then you're starting to have all the complex nature of, of the technology. So I like this idea that, if they can figure out a way to help simplify it, or even have the one that's transferring the NFT cover the 10 XRP, that could also be beneficial. If there's a mechanism for that, say, hey, go ahead, open your wallet. I'm going to send this to you. But when you send it, you're paying 10 XRP to transfer. The 10 XRP is going over to this new wallet as a, maybe there could be all sorts of solutions on the back end, which would be interesting.
Now, aside from not
Joe Butt said, YouTube doesn't like you guys. I do an XRP search and you don't come up in the search. I have to type your channel specifically. You must speak too much truth. Well, that's part of the issue that we're having on YouTube right now, is that if you look at our concurrent viewers, it jumps around. But right now we're at 48. Normally we'd be anywhere between 100 to 300 on a regular stream, and we're pushing. It's hard to get even 50 now, but that's why only the people that show up know that we exist. So it's hard to find us. We're not recommended.
There's no alert. We're not recommended. We get viewers taken away every single day, and we go review the last 5 or 10 videos. And what is somebody watching a video? I mean, they're just genuinely unsubscribing. We've lost 1,300 subscribers. We normally we'd be at anywhere from 60, 80,000 subscribers. But again, this is a thing where I was watching Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was talking about the vax, and he was saying that he was looking for one specific story that he remembered, and he went to Google and tried to search for it. And he's like, dude, I can't find it. He went to DuckDuckGo. Boom, first result. So there is a censorship that happens, obviously. And here's what I don't understand. Like, if you must really doubt the intelligence of humans. Like, if you think that people can't think for themselves and you want this control mechanism on 24/7, then that's the kind of stuff you pull. But if you think people are generally able to manage their world and their lives and their families and put food on the table and their finances, but they can't, you can't have a mistruth. Well, your mistruth is just the way you think. And quite honestly, Jeff, if people think that the earth is flat, who gives a crap? Like, who, at the end of the day, does it matter? If people think that space doesn't exist, who cares? If people think the ocean doesn't exist, okay, but you have to say it does exist. It does exist. Here is the ocean picture. It's the whole thing of the whole censorship is like, and it's all designed as a control mechanism to control your mind, to control you, to make sure that you stay in line. I mean, even the one that came up in the debate with Biden and Trump about there are very fine people on both sides, right? This goes back years ago. First of all, the left-wing Snopes debunked it. One of the big top 5, newspapers here in the States debunked it. And when you actually watch the actual video, you're like, no. I mean, so repeating the lie over and over again, it's like, well, look, just watch the video. I mean, okay, if you want to repeat it and you don't like it, this is the way it should be. It should be open. People can say what they want to be. If they want to believe it, cool. If you don't want to watch the original video and see what the context was, that's fine too. If you don't want to look at a website and where someone says, well, no, this is actually what he said, that's fine. You're free to believe what you want to believe. But the controls thing is what kills me, Jeff. I don't understand the control part of it.
It's a killer, and that's why
Phoenix Starborn, my God,
why
what
X
is
is
going
going up.
on? You're still
Phoenix.
alive. I'm glad. We haven't seen you in a while, Phoenix. How's everything been with you, man? I know that, gosh, I know you had some difficulties some time back, man. I don't know how you're doing. You were, we used to see you a lot, man. I'm glad good to see you're still around, my man. Good to see you. I want to talk a little about this, Jeff. This is something Ripple X posted. This is Suzanne Pace. She's the business development over at Sentiment, and Sentiment is built on the XRPL. But I have a video here. They posted like an excerpt, but let's watch the full video. It's 2 minutes long, and this is kind of a cool thing that they built here.
My aha moment was most likely meeting people who have been deep in crypto and are extremely passionate, and I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked.
Sentiment, take one, Mark.
So my name is Suzanne Patch, and I focus on B2B sales at Sentiment. Sentiment itself is a crypto market intelligence platform which has been around since 2017, and we help investors and other market participants to understand market cycles and how they should be behaving in certain phases of the market cycle. So we have 2,000 metrics to help you understand that. We cover 4 pillars of data, which are on-chain, social, development activity, and also financial data. To give you this 360 market overview, we analyze over 2,800 crypto assets. Then when it comes to social data, we analyze 8 different social media platforms, including Telegram, X, Reddit, 4chan, and Bitcoin Talk, and so on. We collect on-chain data from the XRP ledger ecosystem. And so from that, we're able to transform the data to actionable insights and allow members of the ecosystem to make more informed strategic decisions and not just based on assumptions. The one reason that everyone should be using Sentiment is to really understand what is going on behind the crypto curtains, see the collective 360 market overview, and make informed decisions. Educate yourself on how the ecosystem works, because it is very unique in its nature, and why this is the next step in the future of finance. You can have all the data in front of you, but if you don't know how to use it or apply it or what it means, then it's useless.
So it's interesting. I tried to look at this earlier today when I was doing some show prep.
Sentiment. Thought it was Sentiment.
Not Sentiment, it's Sentiment. Because Sentiment was already taken. But here it is right here. Now, what's funny was I tried to do it on my phone. It says, you don't have a MetaMask wallet connected. I was like, why do I have to have a MetaMask wallet to be able to view this? But on my phone, it said I didn't have my MetaMask connected. I do have one here. But here it is. Says, so this is kind of what it looks like. This is the way they sort of look at it. But you can see that if I zoom in here, price changes 2.5%, market. And where's XRP there? There's XRP. Price changes 4%, market cap 24 billion. And you can kind of see based on the color what's kind of going on with it. Obviously, the green has got, SHIB went up 13%. It's a little bit greener there. You got things like, these are the meme coins, right? So you got Popcat, Ponky, Myro, all these meme coins. We got to launch the Yeti, dude. The Yeti would be just crushing it. Then here are the charts right here. You can look at Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. But I want to see if you can you dig deeper on stuff here? I'm trying to see because they talked about the social aspect. I wanted to see, can we drill down on, like, how can you click into any of these? Maybe I have to sign up to be able to see it. I don't know. Just curious what the pricing looks like on this. Enjoy the data, pick a plan later. So there you go, 0, you get 30 days. Oh, 30 days lag time. 3 tokens, trending coins, 500 credits and queries tool. There's the pro, and then there's the $250 a month. That's for the Sandbase Max.
Be ahead of the game in crypto.
So they have API calls. So I guess you could use the build a product then. You could just use calls here. But I don't know how much you can get out of this for free. Sure what's available there. It's the charts.
It's interesting though. Think about.
See if you can go into here and just type in
Charting.
XRP Ledger.
Yep.
There's a coin called Harry Potter, Obama, Pac-Man, 8 Inu. I don't know what that is. It's on XRPL. I don't know what that is. There you go. There's a dive.
It's a
And
BTC.
a little bit of an uptick there. So he's a little tiny bit.
Look at that. Look at that crash. Look at that growth.
Let's see what the social trends are. Let's look here. See. That means I don't know what
Don't see
this
any
is.
social trends.
I don't see anything.
See
that's-
trending words.
What does any of this mean, really? Trending coins. Welcome to our upgraded trending coins feature. Check out what tokens are currently trending. There's the social media sentiment. There's the price, mentions versus price. I guess this is people talking about it. I mean,
I guess, but when you scroll down, who's talking about it though? You got into
this
social
one you gotta
media.
like sign up and be, But again, I don't know if that really how much that matters. I guess you could see how many people are actually chatting about it because look at these. Some of these are. That one is there. Fortnite bricks token. Anyway, pretty interesting, cool. Built on the XRPL, very, very, very cool. I don't know how it associates with the XRPL, but apparently enough that they were willing to do it.
What's the purpose?
Oh, it's just market trends and data. It's a subscription service for them to make money, Jeff.
No, I get it, but what's the purpose of building on the XRPL?
That's not that I don't understand.
That technology.
I have no clue what that actually means. Crypto narratives. What does this thing do? Holy cow! I don't know what
Historic social trends. I'm looking. I mean, it's looking for trending words, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't have. There's really no about where you dig in to understand why. Why did they use this? Why did they build it on the XRPL?
Yeah, and if you look here, let's see. I clicked into XRP, I believe, and then you see here the charts. There's Telegram. There's what they're talking about in Reddit. They're almost mirrored exactly. Look at that. It's almost like the same chart for everywhere. They put their name in there, so if you want to take that and share it, they'll know. Yeah, I don't know.
Looking through it, I don't get it. I don't know.
There it is.
Very cool. Very cool.
I guess you have to have a pro to kind of like really read into it. And if you're like interested in all that, it makes a lot more sense. It probably would.
Meadow Chew said, "Do you guys know anything about why people are getting dog meme coins airdropped on Bifrost with Flare tokens?"
Yeah, I caught wind a little bit of that. No, I really don't know, and I honestly just not really that interested in it, to be honest. Unless it was a badass Yeti token, then I would be super interested in it. But all I know is like every celebrity now has to have their own token, and Ronaldinho, the famous Brazilian, soccer player, football star,
He's got one.
has rugged a couple projects. So way to ruin your name being one of the most, outside of Pele, being one of the most famous footballers, and ruining your any name or credibility you had. And now he's got another token out. It's just, a lot of times maybe it's not even them doing it, and other people are rugging the projects. Who knows? But again,
You just never know. And then on the Bifrost, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not getting involved with the meme coin because you think it's got utility. No, except for Doge, because the most famous one that we'll have on the Flare network. But yeah, Jeff, kind of crazy.
Flare's been down too, I think.
What's that?
Flare. We got like Finu, Flare Fox, Scotty Cash.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them.
Poodle. But it's crazy, the sheer quantity that gets airdropped.
Yeah, Jeff, I saw this. Now, let's talk about this.
I don't know what it is. I have no idea why this happened.
So in light of Chevron, right? Chevron basically said that if it's not in the actual law, you can't make up rules around it. Then I saw this. The U.S. Treasury finalizes new crypto tax reporting rules. Okay. So the Treasury Department finalized the rule on Friday requiring cryptocurrency brokers, including exchanges and payment processors, to report a new information on user sales and exchange of digital assets to the Internal Revenue Service. The requirement is to crack down on crypto users who may be failing to pay their taxes and stem from the $1 trillion bipartisan 2021 Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. The funny thing about this is, if they go ahead and report that you purchased, right, because this is a broker, so the brokers now have to report to the IRS anytime you purchase any crypto. Okay, so if I'm hodling, what does that matter? Like, what is that going to do by you sharing that information? Did I own it? How are you going to know if it was sold? There's no tax event until it's sold. So it's not for purchasing. You can purchase gold. You're not going to get taxed on an event until you sell it, right? So the rule which will be phased starting next year for the 2026 tax season align the tax requirements for cryptocurrencies with existing tax reporting requirements for brokers and other financial instruments. So if that chevron was overturned, where is it actually in the code, right? Where is it in the law? Cryptocurrency, was it in that 2021 bipartisan BS garbage they passed? Treasury said it reviewed more than 44,000 comments. Yeah, right, Jeff. And on the proposal also said anticipates additional rules later this year to establish tax reporting requirements for non-custodial brokers. How are they making up rules out of thin air? That was one of the chevron, what the chevron destroyed.
Right.
Am I wrong?
This still has to go to, it still needs to go to some sort of an amendment to the IRS rules. And that's where I think there's an IRS rule from 1986 that in the Token Taxonomy Act that Warren Davidson was amending. There are a number of different components of our financial infrastructure policies that were being amended
by Congress
with the Token Taxonomy Act by Congress, not by some unelected bureaucrat. The problem that we have right now, which is a systemic problem, it's like a cancer in our political echelon, which is where we have these unelected bureaucrats that are making decisions that have direct impact on everybody, on citizens, on the population. So we have, people that are either appointed or they're hired in at their lifelong career, let's say in the Treasury Department, and they're coming up with these rules, these tax reporting rules that haven't been, signed off on by Congress.
Right.
And maybe Congress through whatever that, previous, whatever the, if they did sign something, or maybe there was an executive order passed through, which still can be easily overturned with another executive order. The next president comes in and can get rid of it. So, but we're just having some major issues. There's no regulatory clarity when they decide,
Terrific.
out of the blue that here's what the reporting requirements are going to be. And, for the interim, stuff like this happens. It might very well be, scrapped, delayed, overturned again, or whatever it might be, because it wasn't an act of Congress that did it. The ones that actually write the laws.
Yeah, that's so Matt says that Chevron needs the bitch slap the Treasury. Ozzy says, crypto says, you guys looking at creating an on-chain coin, Badass Yetis. We looked at Badass Yetis, a token. We'd want some utility to it. There's a way to do it. Unfortunately, what Jeff just referenced, the fact that there is no clarity, we don't want to be in trouble with the SEC come knocking on our door one day. And this is why all these meme coins are not based in the US. They're all based outside of the US. So, but anyway, I just, I think like, well, what's granted? Like, even if you say the IRS, do they have a blanket statement where it says that IRS has the flexibility to create any rule they want? Well, according to Chevron, that's no longer how it works. Right. And so I suspect that the fallout from this is going to be widespread, and these agencies are still operating. Even the Treasury. Okay, who's the Treasury? Who gave you the authority? The IRS? No, sorry, it has to be granted by Congress. This is how it works. So, anyway, I thought we'd get into some little. What else we have here? So this UK Prime Minister what's interesting about this, Jeff, is I wanted to see if let me pull this up here.
The lowest votes in recent history for this for the labor.
I'm trying to find the. Gosh, where is
Such a
that?
debacle, such a travesty.
Yeah, it's a travesty, all right. And the problem is, I had this argument with Matt Hamilton, who's doesn't lean left. He's as far left as you can go. Okay, he's trying to explain to me that I was brainwashed because I didn't know the Tories were right wing. I'm like, dude, the Tories might be called the Democrat Party over here. The Tories are a bunch of nutters. They're a bunch of soy boy losers. Okay, they don't have any conservative principles. They failed on even stuff that they proposed. They were in power for 12 years, and they took the UK down a bad road. Right? He's like, you don't understand right wing. You don't understand. Yeah, okay. I guess I don't. But the Tories notoriously are left of center. Okay. And if that's your conservative party, then your left party, your Labor Party, which, if you remember, Jeremy Corbyn, who was another nutter, uh, I just don't understand, Jeff. Like, how are you going to govern a country? I mean, one of the things I read their sort of what their manifesto, like, what are they going to do? One of the things they said they're going to crack down on crime. Now, if that happens, I'd be shocked. I would be genuinely shocked if they crack down on anything. But one thing is going to happen is that when France expels their so-called, asylum seekers, and when the Netherlands gets rid of them, they're going to find a home in the UK. And then when the US, come January, has the largest deportation in history, Baba, what's up? They will always, Jeff, famously, that when the US does the largest deportation in the history of the world, they're all going to the UK. So the UK is going to be, and somebody made the story, is like, it's an island. You can't control it. You can't build a Trump wall. You can't do anything. I'm like, well, yeah, because eventually they get
Don't
in the
bring them.
system, same way they do here, and they start living off of the taxpayer dime, right? So you guys are over there working, having jobs, and what are they doing? They're sucking off the teat, right? They're doing so. If they get in the system and they're not legal, you toss them out. I mean, it's easier to deport than it is to keep them in the system. And then who suffers? The Brits, right? The Brits are the ones that suffer.
Well, they're going to suffer more than anyone could ever imagine. I keep reading more and more articles of what's happening from, because of the illegals that are there. And then you hear people speaking from that part of the world, and they say, you guys don't realize that everybody that's being imported into these countries were the worst of society. You have a lot of criminal element,
Oh yeah.
yep, uh, terrorist element. You have just the bottom part of society that isn't wanted over there, and that's who's filtering into these countries. And for the most part, the majority, I don't know what the exact percentage is, but it's probably a pretty large percentage. But they're going there not because they want to be British or they want to be Irish or they want to be American or whatever it might be. They're going there because they were promised handouts, and they see what's happening on the ground, and they're getting away with all sorts of criminal activity, and it doesn't end. It gets worse and worse. It's not going to get better. So you're bringing people from a different society. I was reading some articles yesterday. They released this one guy that had raped a young girl, but they let him go. The magistrate let him go because he was from Pakistan or wherever he's from, because they said he didn't realize that rape was illegal or whatever the whole purpose of it was. But they let this person go. And we've seen incident after incident after incident where they're letting them back into society. And you need to get rid of all of them. I mean, there's no room for this illegal invasion of these
Right.
countries, but the stupidity of the leadership of these countries. Unfortunately, we're seeing it now in Ireland growing at a rapid pace. It's over in England. It's going to get worse over there, not better. The reports that you hear out of Sweden. But when you go there, you don't necessarily see it, right? I mean, you can find it, and if you kind of feel it, you'll sense it, but you can get around and you say, oh, there's just a lot of people here from other countries, but it
Well,
it's changing the whole climate. And when you see report after report after report of tribal fights in the streets, you have a clash between different groups out of Pakistan and India or whatever other Islamist country, where these people are coming up from, or you have conflict of
It's
people that
extremist.
have it's all extremist elements.
Extremist element. We're not talking about law abiding.
No, not at all. But these are the
Islam.
reports in the streets, right?
Right.
But these are the ones that are coming in, not the ones that came in legally, not the ones that came because they really want to be there for the
Want to contribute.
betterment of their family. That's legal immigration, right? And like in this country, this whole country in the United States was built on immigration, legal immigration.
Yeah, so was
right?
Canada too. Canada too was built on the whole idea, Jeff. And this whole thing of people are like, you're against immigration. I'm like, my wife is an immigrant. I mean, she came here legally, but I have also lots of friends, Hispanic friends too, that had to wait 2-3 years to get into the system. And why are they waiting? Why are they coming here being super productive? Why are they coming here and contributing and opening businesses and being a great, kind of assimilating, right? They want to keep their culture the same way everybody does, but they wanted to come here. Okay. And we're excluding the good people who want to come and make a difference and be productive, right? Be a productive member of society, contribute and pay taxes and all that. And what I don't understand is like people like labeling like, well, you're just anti-immigration. No, first of all, you don't know that I've sponsored a bunch of people to come here, in business and visas. So eventually they did get their green cards. They did get, citizenship. It takes sponsorship. If you're in a company, you can sponsor people to come over under certain visas. Okay. Because this is the way the legal immigration have always been for it. You want to let people in. You want to vet them. You don't, just open your door up and say, hey, anybody wants to come in, just come in. No, you don't do that. You don't do that with your country. Why do you lock your door at night, right? If we're why do you have to be able to close it off? And, Australia has the same issue. Australia has a big problem as well. We're all faced with it. And then what are they saying to Japan? They're calling Japan out saying, you don't take any people. They have a phenomenal guest worker program where they have, I think, something like 10-12% of their population on any given day are guest workers. But they come, they work, or they might live there, but they're not granted citizenship, and they are vetted. So how do you not vet people? You need to be able to vet them. They come to the border,
have to vet them.
They burn their ID, they make up a name, and then they're in the country, right?
That's right.
And most of them aren't even coming in from Central and South America anymore. They're coming in from West Africa. They're coming in from the Middle East. I mean, bad elements. And somebody put the numbers, like if you got 12 to 15 million illegals, and less than 1% of them are bad, you got 50 to 100,000 people that don't have good intentions. That's a lot of influx of people. You know what I mean? And
it's probably more like 10%.
Yeah. So anyway, here's the new UK prime. Well, before we do that, I wanted to show this because this kind of shocked me a little bit here, because this whole system here in the UK, first of all, like you said, it was low turnout, but James Melville calls the attention, if there was ever a compelling argument to change the voting system in the UK, it's the 24 general election statistic. Labour won 65% of parliamentary seats with 34% of the vote. What? It's the most distorted general election in history. And if you look at this, they had 34% of the vote and they got 65 seats. How does that? The Conservative Party, 24% of the vote, not 10% less. They had 18 seats, right? You had the Reform Party. I don't know what these other two are. But I'm just saying, like, this is just, it's pathetic. Nigel Farage, he won his election. It begs the question, why was there such a low turnout? Many still view things currently as pointless with politicians, disillusioned that it won't make any difference. The task ahead is to build on the strength of the public voice. James Melville says, the election wasn't a vote of love for Labour. The low turnout and their percentage of share of this vote shows the election was a vote to get the Tories out, and apathy. The main problem remains a majority of disenfranchised voters who feel forgotten. Until this changes, nothing changes. In the same way we had to go through the pain in this country of bad policy, high taxes, the whole pain that people felt, it was all prefaced. Orange Man Bad said, this is what's going to happen. This is how much you're going to be paying for gas. This is how it's going to go. And everyone's like, ha, 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 sure. Well, until you start feeling it in the old wallet, then okay, well, that's kind of the difference it makes. It wasn't a love of the entire population of labor, and those who did vote, many wanted to punish Tories. So imagine your so-called conservative party is so bad, Jeff, you hate them that bad that you want to destroy them and vote. It's like you were so mad at your own party that you voted for the other guy. And we're seeing a lot of that here. We're hearing a lot of people that are Democrats want to vote Republican because they're just pissed. They hate Donald Trump. They hate the Republicans, but they're so pissed at the Democrats and how they just dropped the ball and
How
didn't
they've lied to
represent
them,
them. Yeah, they're just like,
corrupted the system.
yeah. And I saw it somewhere too where the big difference, like look at this right here. So here we go. Here's Jeremy Corbyn, 32% in 2019. Okay, lost. And you got this guy, Keir Starmer, who's the new prime minister. Look at the difference because of the voter turnout. It's barely 1%, Jeff. Well, a little over 1%, but it's 32 to 33%, 32.1, 1.5% difference. And this guy is the new prime minister. Look at Tony Blair, won with 44% in 1997.
Yep.
So it's not a ringing endorsement for labor at all. I mean, the percentage differences from 2019 till now is like 1.5%. Labor increased their voting share by 1. That says a lot. And this is how pissed off people are. But they're going to go through the same arc that we went through. Unfortunately, France has already moved beyond that. I think France has the referendum. Don't they have another? They have another vote going tomorrow.
They have a vote tomorrow, and we'll see how that turns out. Right now, it looks like it's moving in the direction of Le Pen.
Yeah, I would love to see Le Pen. It's about time. I mean, I put out another post, like who thought that France would be leading the way or the Netherlands, right? But again, they had to go through their pain. You know, their farmers had to be basically taking their land away from them until they got on their tractors and started, sending actual feces into the building of Parliament, into the windows and, all over the building. Like, you don't mess with farmers, man. But it had to be some sort of revolt. And in France, the asylum seekers who camp out on the streets, who because the thing about that is in the whole thing about it, well, I'm not going to get too deep down that route. I gotta be careful what I say, but it's kind of what you said. They didn't know it was rape. Well, there's no such thing as rape. There is no such thing as an age limit. So if you don't understand the laws of your country, tough luck. It's your job to understand the laws of the country. If you didn't know, I didn't know killing was a big thing. I stoned her to death. Why? Because she said she went out in public. She drove. She wanted to get a job. I stoned her. Right. So this is all legal in some of these countries, but it's not. It's not the way. You have to adopt the laws and the customs. And I'm happy for France because France is a phenomenal country, and like make France great again. Make France was fun.
Right.
You go there and you don't feel. I had a buddy that went there recently, and he says we took a turn down the wrong street, and it was real touch and go. He goes, one minute we were in France and the next minute we weren't, and he's like very worried, and, the cat calling with his wife and all that stuff. It's too much, man.
But it's just you get to a point where it's just, it's just dangerous. I mean, just what's going on, and Geert Wilders over in the Netherlands, he's had some really critical statements as of late, but it amazes me because of this. There seems to be a general misunderstanding of right wing, versus left. Right? There seems to be a misunderstanding when you go to the far right or you go to a right, and just the way they try to warp people. They try to make them out as some dictator or a right wing alliance. Just the words that they use. But historically speaking, fascism, dictatorships, communism, Nazism, they're all left-wing political schemes. And so
but not if you look at Wikipedia, Jeff. Oh no, they're right wing.
Right, but not if you look at if you look at Wikipedia, but it's always about a minority group supposedly elected by a majority or put in place by the majority, that somehow they corrupted the outcome of the election. And then they're always going to subjugate their will. And it's the same thing, repeat kind of, over and over. Whereas when you go to the right, it's always about limiting government intervention. It's more about freedoms to the people, especially, nowadays, but the media is trying to warp it, and they all were continuously trying to promote the left as somehow the bastions of hope and freedom, when what we're seeing across the spectrum, across the globe, is that they're the exact opposite, politically speaking, economically speaking, from a cryptocurrency perspective, all of it, and so I look at what's happening. Even, Geert Wilders came out, and he had something really interesting that he had said here recently. Uh, this is, he said in December 2010, he had said Israel's often being mistreated. Israel is not to blame for the hardship of the Palestinians, right? He came out and made some statements, but his latest was, if Israel falls, the West falls. He said Geert Wilders is Europe's last stand against Islam. This was an opinion piece written about Geert Wilders, and he kind of is, but now we're seeing France take that same approach, that you have this Islamist uprising, but there's all sorts of other crazies, as we see them over here, that are trying to subjugate and take away our freedoms. But the Islamist sect that we're seeing it, right? It's crazy. They're talking about Sharia law over in the UK, in England, and I think this is good. As we start to see the UK fall over the next couple of years, which they're going to have to, because they also elected, with the Labour, they also elected a couple more Islamists into Parliament. They have so many Islamists all around the country that are that have leadership position, that believe in bringing Islamic law to the country and replacing British common law with Islamist law, with Sharia law. They have to wake up. They really do. It's terrifying as I watch this. Geert Wilders, I actually got to meet him. We had an event here in 2000, maybe it was 2010. What's that? No,
I remember when he spoke.
was,
Did he speak at FAU? Where did he speak? He spoke somewhere in
we had him speak in Boca.
Boca. I know.
It
I
was
remember that.
in
I remember he
Boca there.
spoke. I was actually thinking about going to that
It,
before I
it
even
was a
knew you.
whole event. Yeah, yep. And actually, we were just talking about it. My wife brought it up that one day I was like, "Oh, we got to go pick up this lord and lady from the airport in Miami. They just flew in from England. We got to go pick them up." So we drove down,
Yeah.
brought them over to this event. It was everybody was hosted over at that what's that pink hotel, the Boca Resort.
Yeah.
That's where everybody was. Had
Many
been
a good party
hosting.
there, my man. Yeah, I remember I was
Yep.
supposed to go to that. Listen, so I want to play this, Jeff. This is the kind of I don't want to preface with anything, but this is Keir Starmer. This is the new UK Prime Minister. But I don't know why you would elect the person who hates your country. But this seems to be an ongoing thing on the left as well.
To choose now
is,
between
yeah.
Davos or Westminster.
Davos.
Why?
Because Westminster is too constrained, and it's closed, and we're not having meaning. Once you get out of Westminster, whether it's Davos or anywhere else, you actually engage with people that you can see working with in the future. Westminster is just a tribal.
This is a guy beyond a toss, whatever you want to call him, toss, whatever. He is just a complete moron. She asks him Westminster or Davos, and he chooses Davos. He's a big globalist moron right here who's going to run the country into the ground. 30% is already made up of extremists and their government. I predict that the UK, specifically Great Britain, will be the first Western country to fall and have Sharia law enacted, and they will burn because they're a bunch of cowards over there. They can't fight back. They had such apathy towards the Tories, which were left of center, and now they've gone completely leftist and driven their country over a cliff. And so what will end up happening, if it has the chance to happen, is Nigel Farage and the Reform UK Party, his party will take over. He'll become prime minister, and then they'll right the ship with a true conservative. He's a true conservative. They call him a Donald Trump conservative and this and that. No, he believes in conservative principles. And this guy right here, this guy hates the country. He wants to pick the Davos crowd over his own countrymen. This right here is a guy you like to throat punch, right? You like to just walk up to him and punch him right in the throat because he's a moron. And this is a guy that will choose anybody over his own country, and he would rather be represented by globalists than his own people, right? And he thinks he's got some kind of carte blanche now that he can go out there and be this incredible leader when he got 1% more than Jeremy Corbyn. And when that dude cried on TV, that was the best ever. When Corbyn, who was another, I mean, he was a nutter too. They're all nutters in the Labor Party, number one, okay? They're leftists. They're even more left of like our Democrat Party, I believe. It's a toss-up, Jeff, but I don't understand it personally. It's a weird.
And then France, we'll see what happens with France. Hopefully it goes the right way tomorrow, and then we'll see what the outcome is.
Yeah, and then I wanted to
that'll be really great.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there, but I have a good feeling about what should happen over there with France. We'll see what actually ends up happening. Chamath Palihapitiya, who has that, who him and David Sachs have been just coming on strong lately. But listen to this. Now, Jeff, do you remember for the last 2 years, all we heard about how Biden was sharp as a tack, super sharp. My God, I've talked to him. He can reason. Meanwhile, the rest of us saw him fail on a daily basis, and everybody was so shocked by the debate. I'm like, do you guys not see any coverage of this? Are you guys watching leftist news channels? Like, it's been in our face for 3.5 years. It was back in 2019 and 2020 we saw it.
You guys see this clip, by the way? 6 minutes of 100 spokespeople and proxies, and they all had the same thing to say about President Biden, which is he is sharp as a tack.
Sharp as a tack?
Which end of the tack? The round part?
This is a man who is sharp.
This is a very sharp president.
And the people that I've talked to say he's as sharp as a tack. He's fine.
They say he's sharp.
He was sharp.
He's sharp as a tack. If I asked 100 people on the street, what do you think of Elon Musk? You'd have 100 different statements. There'd be a general theme, but you would not have even 50 people repeat the exact same words. And so you have this funny situation where 100 different people were basically saying the exact same talking point. So it's not even a point of view. It was just something that they were told to say by somebody else. And that, to your point, Sachs, is the real issue, which is that you don't really have an honest media here. And so there is no check and balance on power right now.
That's right. That's a great statement. And that's what, one of the issues that we've had, Chip, for a long period of time is that the media, if you go from station to station, there were a couple of YouTube videos on that all over the country. Didn't matter what network, they all say the exact same thing. And it's almost verbatim. It's like they have the same writers. All they do is just read it a little bit different, but they're all readers.
Talking point drop, right? It goes to everybody simultaneously. Everyone gets the email, and this is the new talking point. He's sharp as a tack. And I was like, and it's such a weird thing. It's like when Biden says malarkey. Like, malarkey was a word you said in the 30s. Like, cut the malarkey, cut the crap, whatever.
Yeah, see?
And he's still like, hey, forget about that malarkey. It's like, I still want to be an old man saying old statements. And then, I mean, you've heard like 100 people saying the word malarkey. It's like, even sharp as a tack. It's like an old expression. Like, he's sharp as a tack. Like, who even uses Jeff, do you have any tacks in your house? Seriously, do you have a tack? Do you own a tack? I don't have any tacks.
No, I have no thumbtacks.
Right?
I can't even find rubber bands anymore. Do you have any rubber bands in the house?
That's why anytime something comes with a rubber band, I hoard them. I put them in especially if it's a thick one. I was like, ooh, I can use this for something. But crazy. Nobody has tacks. Like, no one says sharp as a tack. But look at this one, Jeff. I want to play this one here. This is interesting.
Alex, we've been told for a long time the climate change emergency is settled science. It looks like it's no longer settled. What happened?
Settled science.
Well, there's a series of 3 new peer-reviewed papers published in major prestigious scientific journals just over the last month or so. And taken together, they completely undermine the alleged scientific consensus on man-made global warming. One of them found that about 40% of the observed warming can be explained away using the urban heat island effect. So to try to summarize that, basically a lot of these thermometers were put out there in an open field, in a rural area. A city was built up around it, and so it gets warmer, obviously, not because there's global warming, but because there's a city around the thermometer. The rest of the warming, they found, can be easily easily explained using changes in solar activity that NASA has been tracking meticulously for many decades. And so right now, these are in the peer-reviewed literature. And instead of responding to this, you've got the climate establishment going on Twitter and saying these guys are basically poo-poo heads and clowns and deniers. So at this point, you wonder, do they have a scientific response? Because if they did, they would probably write a peer-reviewed paper to refute the ones that just undermined their claims.
Well, how did they get them in? It's hard to get a peer-reviewed paper when it comes to these topics. What was the kind of hole in the wall that brought this about, so to speak?
You're right. It is very hard to get any peer-reviewed studies in the journals because there's almost like an iron wall blocking this. And we got some insight into this during the ClimateGate scandal in 2009 when a bunch of emails were hacked and leaked to the public showing a bunch of so-called climate scientists, in fact, some of the leading so-called climate scientists, conspiring to hide their data from other researchers, conspiring to hide the decline in global temperatures, and conspiring to silence any scientists who wouldn't go along with the narrative, keep them out of the journals, keep them out of TV, media interviews, etc. And so what happened is these papers were just really solid. These three journals that published them, they're not known for being, climate denier publications, but the science was very sound. They did one special issue in the journal Climate, for example. They had some guest editors, including Dr. Ned Nikolov, who I wrote about back in 2017. They looked at this. They said, wow, this is correct as best as we can tell. So the peers looked at it, they accepted it, and this is a really prestigious team, Josh. We're talking about almost 40 scientists from around the world. The lead author, Dr. Willie Soon, one of the world's top astrophysicists, if not the top astrophysicist. He used to be at the Harvard Smithsonian. You've got Ronan Connolly. These are very, very well-established, very prestigious, highly credentialed experts, and it's good to finally see some alternative viewpoints published in the peer-reviewed literature. I think the dam is finally cracking, Josh.
What do you think about that, Jeff? This is something we've known for a long, long time. It's just a clever way to create new taxes,
That's it. I mean, that's what it is. The climate's not going to change just because you impose new taxes. What's the whole purpose? I mean,
well, the whole idea of the climate change crowd is the one that humans
ridiculous.
are creating it. Meanwhile, we have maybe data going back 100 years. And we've had, if you go back to the 1400s, we have hotter periods than today. But the whole idea is like, people go, you don't believe in climate change? Well, yeah, I believe the climate changes. I just don't believe the humans are responsible for it. The Earth is going to be around longer than humans are around, right? It's going to be here way after humans are done. So
that's the point. Yeah, the volcano eruptions put out much more toxins into the air than humans ever could have put out into the air, just from a volcanic eruption. So you think about it from this perspective. It's all of this, everything that they do, everything they connive. It's all about trying to find a new way to oppress people. They want to keep people down, and they want to make you poor. And then they run around and fly around on their private jets and host these massive, they'll have these big concerts and fly in a private jet. They'll go to their meetings, fly in a private jet. They'll go to these remote island vacations on their big private yachts that they got to on their private jet. I mean, the whole thing is, it's just a mockery. It's just a slap in the face of, how they want to live. They want these so-called elites to live a different life. Yep, exactly.
Look at this. Jim D says, to the dull-witted, a blunt hammer is sharp. That's a good call here. Charles says, boom, climate change. Global temperature hits 589. XRP moons. You got to like that. So, Jeff, I thought we'd finish off the show today. Now, we've been told that people were just so shocked. Like, I just don't understand what happened to Biden. What gutted him? Why did he have such a miserable performance? Well, RNC Research over there on X put this out. This is 3.5 years of apparently nobody noticed any of this. Like, every once in a while, you'd hope for a gaffe. Look, every president, every leader makes them. Trump was
nonstop.
His foot in his mouth often, says dumb things. But the funny thing, you'll hope for a gaffe. Oh, that was a gaffe, and then it's a minute by minute gaffe. Like, Biden did this. He did the speech and last night with Stephanopoulos, and it was another train wreck. But look at this. Here we go.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
And I don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean,
no one noticed any of
choose
this.
my words.
No,
I was just thanking anyway, but I just, look, I mean, Putin's kleptocracy, yeah.
Another thing.
It was in January, after being elected. The late January, early February.
No one noticed
He said,
any of it.
it's not, we lead, not just, well, I won't go into it. Here's what
I won't go into it
drives the driver in the states that are affected. Here's what you can do, the drivers. For two reasons. One, to...
There are only two reasons. You got to know
It's
the
an
first
impact. An impact that decades been making, because inaction was there was inaction. With the Department of from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa. The best way to get something done, if you hold near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway, the idea that
That's when he says anyway. It's a total giveaway that he's forgotten, losing his mind.
But there's, you know,
2.5 years. Nobody,
you know, beginning this effort, and I want you to know that.
We're not even halfway through it, but you get the picture here. We don't have to. This is painful to watch. It's horrible to watch a guy crumble like that. I mean, it's pretty.
They still prop him up. They keep propping him up.
Well, Jeff, they like, well, good, because the problem is like if you wait too long, you won't be on the ballot. He'll be on the ballot in states, even if he's not. If he steps down, if they try to bypass, Kamala, then what? They're going to just basically, their DEI is gone. Their whole thing's going to be crushed, because if they don't elevate her, she's the VP. She should be she should be the president, but they're going to try to like bypass that.
They should remove him. She becomes president, and they have to bring in a new VP.
That's right.
That gets thinking it goes through Congress.
It does go through Congress. You know who gets to choose that? The Republicans. Then they impeach her. Then they move into office. There you go. So
the debate.
Anyway, here's something from the debate. A clip from the debate last night.
And after the debate, we ran a poll, and every single person we polled thinks that you're a retard. We polled African Americans. They all say you're a retard. Hispanic Americans also think that you're retarded. They call you El Retardo. We even polled actual retarded people. Even they say you sound absolutely retarded. You see where this is going, Mr. President?
Well, I just had a bad night.
Okay, that was a doctored clip. Jeff. That was. I don't think that was real.
You know what's crazy though? So that one statement that we have the link here, video, and he says, "I'm not letting one 90-minute debate wipe out 3.5 years of work." Have you ever said, if you're talking about 3.5 or something, would you use that? Would you say 3.5?
I probably would not, Jeff.
Like, that was 3.5 years of my life.
3.5 years of just nasty, bizarro sort of.
It was would you say, oh no, that was 3.5 years. That was 3.3 years of my life. So it was obvious that he was reading it from a teleprompter. He wasn't, you don't speak that way. Nobody speaks in decimals.
Well, he was speaking at the 4th of July, and he said, and one more thing, you go to these roads and they were congested, and you go to the roads now and there's no congestion. That's what they tell me when they want me to stop speaking. They say, Joe, all the roads are closed. Like, so he even gave away the code speak for him to shut up. When they want to tell him to shut up, Joe, the roads are closed. They don't tell him, in case it's picked up or something like that. I'm like, he was reading the quote and he's like, end quote. I mean, come on. Why still do that? Why put end quote in there if you know he's going to read it? I mean, it's just pathetic at this point. He said, I'm in it to win it. I'm going to beat Donald Trump again in 2020. I'm going to beat in 2024. Like he corrected himself.
Right. Oh yeah, the 2020.
Yeah.
And how about that new tint? Because
Oh,
they said he looked like
oh,
a
he's Orange
corpse
Man now.
during the thing. So the next day he has a spray tan.
Yeah, he's Orange Man now. He's the new Orange Man bad.
They gave him a spray tan.
Trying
I
to
can't
reason
even
whether a
imagine.
retarded person equals insanity. Yeah, that's right. Karma Carmichael's in the house. What's up? You're finally here, man. We're getting ready to get out of here. And we ran late today. All right. We got to get out of here. George Hamilton Biden. Yeah, remember George Hamilton always had that
he had the spray
he was
tan.
like had a permanent tan. He always got back like he was just in the Bahamas or something. Jamaica. It's just like it's anyway, that's good, guys. That's all we have. We'll be back tomorrow night. There's a couple things we didn't get through. There's a good John Kennedy clip that we'll have to play tomorrow night. Need some time to kind of talk about it, but he makes a very good point. Some very good points in that.
That'll be good.
Grilling. So that's all we have, Jeff. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
That's it. I think we're good for it tomorrow night. You guys are the best and the brightest in all of the crypto YouTube space. Forget about all those other channels. Come here, bring more people, have a blast. We enjoy watching the chat because the chat is our show. That's our show. That's what we watch. We watch the chat and we get a kick out of reading the chat. So keep posting comments in the chat and we'll check you guys out tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's right, Jeff. That's all we got. Pause. That's right. The pause thing too. That's the other one.
That's another one.
Someone rang up all the times. He said the idea of. There was like 40 times he said the idea. There's no idea. No
Anyway,
you know the thing.
You know that thing.
You know the thing. What the hell? All right. See you guys on the next one. Chip and Jeff. Ow.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.